Welcome to the newest installment of the Untitled Film Nerd Project. My name is Philip, and joining me as always is TJ.
Hello.
We march on with our 5th annual 31 Days of Horror, where we watch a different horror movie every single day in October. Today marks day 7, and our movie for tonight was Winchester. Before we get into it, spoiler warning now! If you want to avoid spoilers, skip ahead to the time code you see on the screen. Let's get right into cast and crew rundown. This was co-written and directed by the Spearig brothers. We just watched a movie of theirs recently in Jigsaw.
Oh, okay.
And they've also done Daybreakers and Predestination. They have like 5 or 6 movies under their belt, so they don't have the best track record, but they don't have a very long track record either. Mm-hmm. Sarah Winchester was played by Helen Mirren. She's been in The Queen, The Tempest, Red 1 and 2, and she's going to be in the upcoming Nutcracker. Marion Marriott was Sarah Snook. She's been in Predestination, an episode of Black Mirror, and we know her from Jezebel.
Okay, yeah.
Henry Marriott was Finn scicluna-o'prey. That's probably not right. I don't recognize anything he's been in. He's fairly new. Dr. Eric Price was Jason Clarke. He has been in Terminator Genesis, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and upcoming he has the Pet Sematary remake.
Okay.
Ben Block was Eamon Farron. He's been in something called Chained, and he was in the new Twin Peaks. And then the last person of note for me was Augustine, the butler guy, the main butler guy. That was Bruce Spence, and I recognized him from a movie back in 1990 called Shrimp on the Barbie.
Interesting.
But he's been in like over 100 things, so he's had quite a long career. And that's cast and crew, unless you have someone else you would like to add.
The only other person I recognized was the guy that was in charge of the building. He was in Mad Max. Mm-hmm. Fury Road.
Right.
He was just one of the members of the bad guys.
Oh, okay. He looked familiar, but I couldn't find him in the cast and crew. Like, I didn't see his name, so I didn't see, like, Head Carpenter.
It's, damn it, what is that horror series? Not Insidious. The last movie was something Key.
That was Insidious.
That was Insidious? Okay. Yeah, he's the bigger guy of the team of Paranormal.
Oh, okay. Okay. Not Specs, but the other one.
Yes.
Okay. That's Insidious.
Yes.
Demon cat, demon cat. All right, so that takes care of cast and crew. Let's get into our initial thoughts. I didn't hate it, but I would have been really, really disappointed if I had seen this in the theater. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just boring. And, like, it looked nice, and as far as the period it took place in, that was fine. Mm-hmm. There were, like, 5 million fucking jump scares. Mm-hmm. This movie completely relied on the jump scare. And if you're like me and you're sensitive to those things, this movie was not very much fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Now, that didn't sway my opinion. It was just a rather boring movie to me. And I think choosing what they did as the antagonist, the main antagonist, was really weak. Mm-hmm. Like, oh no, a Confederate guy whose brothers got killed. He wants revenge. There was no one else there who had worse deaths. Mm-hmm. I mean, on one hand, I appreciated that it wasn't Satan is here to possess the house and Helen Mirren. And I honestly thought that this was a modern story with Sarah Winchester as the main ghost. Any of our listeners know I avoid all spoilers as much as possible, so I had no idea what this was about other than the Winchester house. So I'm glad it subverted those cliches, but it didn't deliver otherwise, in my opinion.
For me, it was much better than I expected it to be.
Agreed.
But my expectations were remarkably low.
Also agreed.
It is one that I very much agree with a great deal of what you said. I wasn't bored, but I found the constant use of jump scares. I didn't think they were earned, for one thing.
Mm-hmm, agreed.
And I don't think they were necessary at all. I mean, it's the fucking Winchester house. You could write a genuine good story on this without relying on jump scares. I mean, fucking shit. Stephen King did. It's called Rose Red.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
And my biggest problem with it overall was, you know how movies houses in movies, houses in haunted house movies, I mean, even Event Horizon, the location is just as much of a character as any actor.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And the Winchester house should have been a standout character, but it had no character.
And it took a back seat to... I liked the idea of why Sarah Winchester was building, but it just made her feel like one of the Ghostbusters. Instead of a proton pack, she had like nails and wood over doors. Yeah, the house, it could have been any house anywhere.
Yeah, honestly. And also, I don't even understand how even her voodoo would work. You know, that we are recreating the rooms in which they died in. Well, this was set in, what, 1906? 1906? I kind of get the feeling that the majority of the history of the Winchester rifle up to that point, not many of those deaths occurred indoors.
Yeah, especially people who got killed in the Civil War and stuff.
Yes.
Like, you should be recreating, like, battlefields.
Yes.
So, yeah, I like the idea of it, but there's holes. There's holes all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of it just felt unnecessary. To go along with what you were saying about the jump scares. I completely agree, obviously, because I'm very, very susceptible to them. Full disclosure, I'm in a lot of pain right now because of them. And I avoided almost all of them, but the one in the beginning with the kid on the stairs did not see coming. I just put my headphones back on my head, and then boom, goes right in kid's there. It's like, fuck. That sucked. We had, within like a half an hour, we had 4 of them. And not even, I'm pretty sure that's without hyperbole. We had the kid in the mirror, the kid in the chair. Those were back to back. Within a minute of each other, we had 2 jump scares. Then we had the stairs, which got me, and we had the butler guy. That's just in the very beginning. That's on like the first half page of my notes. And by then I was getting kind of pissed. I'm like, this is all you're relying on. You're relying on weak ghost story, weak possession story, kind of plot holy overall story arc, and the crutch you're using is jump scares. This is one of those, as we said before, this could be jump scares the movie, because that's what it was relying on. But other than that, there was no pulse to this movie. That's why it was boring. I thought it was a boring movie. I would not watch this movie again. I said if I'd seen it in the theater, I'd been kind of upset. And, I mean, the pros, the setting was nice. The sets were good. Even though the house wasn't a character, as it should have been, as you said, and I agree, it still looked nice. And the costuming was good. I thought cinematography was decent to good in spots. The acting was good. I had no problem with that at all. But the story, again, was just, there was nothing to it. As you said, wasn't as bad as we had been made out to believe. Both had very, very, very low expectations going into this. So you can't say, yeah, you did a good job when you barely passed the very, very low expectations that we had.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to go to breakdowns?
Breakdowns is fun.
All right. What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene is probably... There was 2 back-to-back, but my favorite scene overall was probably what I think was probably the strongest shot, in my opinion, the furnace scene.
Okay.
Just, as far as cinematography being good in a spot, I think it was very good there.
Yeah, agreed.
My runner-up to the favorite scene was after he had his little making up with his dead wife, and he woke up to all the ghosts being surrounding him.
Yes, the garden room of friendly ghosts is what I called it. Which didn't make any sense. Why were they helping him? What? They were rebelling against the other guy? Okay, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Like, as far as I can tell, it was just she helped them come to terms with being dead, and so they were not wanting dude to kill her.
But she said if they come to terms with themselves, don't they move on?
Yeah.
Why are they there?
Yeah.
There's stuff like that in this movie that just like, what?
Yeah.
As far as favorite scene, I honestly didn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
I could piggyback on yours. I agree with what you said. It was probably the most well thought out and shot scene, but it overstayed its welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept going back to it. But other than that, I didn't have one. Nothing really was like, much like Slice, nothing stuck out. It was I was bored, so nothing really stuck out to me. All right, if any, holy shit moment.
I don't think I had a holy shit moment.
Yeah, me either. All right, let's move on. Let's pick one mediocre moment.
Mediocre moment would probably have to be, again, this is going to be a number one mediocre moment and then a follow-up moment.
Okay.
Number one mediocre moment is probably going to be the almost annoyingly optimistic happy ending at the end.
Okay.
I'm not saying that these type of movies can't have a happy ending. It's just, no, fuck that. My number one mediocre moment is the optimistically happy ending and then random shot of one of the nails popping out of one of the doors.
So spooky and has no reason for it to be happening. Setting up for a potential sequel, I guess.
So, and then runner-up is the MacGuffin of the MacGuffin bullet.
Oh, okay.
And, it's like, I don't know if it worked because it was the bullet that had killed him and allowed him to kind of have a connection, or if it was just love.
They don't explain anything. They don't explain anything in this movie. And what they do explain is poorly explained. My mediocre moment is the final battle scene in which the bullet is in. It was stupid. I thought that Ben was such a weak bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that him being there the whole time, he's been a ghost the whole time, made no sense if you dissect it. If you start dissecting the movie, it falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
We've already picked 2 holes in it, and we're just casually talking about it. The scene where Ben, apparently, because ghosts have telekinetic powers and can make everything levitate, that's a thing for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Him disappearing, in the shot, he was there, then he's gone, was ridiculous. It's in my notes, but it's just they tried to make everything mean something, but the things that were supposed to mean stuff didn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
His wife's little speech to him about, you need to see the truth or whatever, then he does, and he sees Ben and then shoots him. That was stupid. It had no gravitas to it. There's nothing. The doctor's redemption in the garden room felt empty. I appreciated what they were trying to do in a way, but it felt completely void.
Just like the jump scares, they were unearned.
Yeah. The tolling bell was supposed to be this massive, important thing. It didn't feel important. If it was an annoyance, I would be like, you should stop pulling the fucking bell. It's midnight. And at the end, where she lets go of her daughter's hair, it was empty. I didn't feel any emotional attachment to anything that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So all those things could be mediocre moments, but the final battle was so dumb. Barely better than Slice, honestly. It just had a bigger budget.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it fails more, because it had a bigger budget.
Oh, yeah.
And it did not deliver. And even if it was a cool, awesome, super awesome antagonist that they were fighting against, if they went with that kind of crescendo for their climax of their movie, you fell flat. It's completely tone deaf to me. So that's mine. If any, LOL moment.
Miss Winchester, her little moment of, I'm not having your bullshit with this dollar bill and nickel trick.
Nice, yeah. Take the nickel out. My LOL moment is what I referenced earlier. It's an accidental one because it wasn't supposed to be funny. In the final battle, when you see the ghost there and then he vanishes, they don't cut away. They don't go to the doctor's perspective. He's just in the shot, and then just poof, he's vanished from the shot. I laughed because it was so stupid looking. It's like, that's so cheap. Like, ugh, yuck, just blah. All right, anything else you'd like to add? You want to go to my notes?
Notes is fine.
Philip's notes. I did appreciate that they said inspired by actual events instead of based on true events. I hate that shit. Okay, when he was in the carriage going towards the Winchester house, I got huge Robert Englund vibes. He could be Robert Englund's brother, in my opinion.
I can see that.
Yeah, go back and just like watch the scene of him in the carriage with the glasses on. He could be Robert Englund. Okay, then the ginger kid walks off the thing and the doctor catches him. The mom and Sarah Winchester are like, thank you. You weren't fucking there. How did you know what happened? You didn't see it. And there was no time for anyone that did see it to tell you because you said thank you right after it happened. That makes no sense. When? Just when? When did the ghosts tell you? No, because you just came outside. Like, there was no time for you to stop and talk to a ghost. Makes no fucking sense. How did you know? Ridiculous. Side note, though, they referenced it, but I wrote earlier, the Carpenters are making great money.
Yeah, and that's something that, from what I remember, was true, that she was extremely generous to the people that worked for her. And a great deal of also why she built was that it kept them with constant income.
Right. Okay, so Henry, the ginger kid, has the shotgun. And I'm just thinking to myself, run. They're like, oh, I'm going to lean against these steps. Oh. Run. Just, I know you're older and you have arthritis, but adrenaline, you're going to die. Run.
Or roll.
Yeah, you could. You could just...
You're on a slight slant. I mean,
yeah.
Just roll.
And you're free. There you go. That's my rolling sound effect. And then the part where after the boy is possessed, I think again, and it's the mom, the boy, and the doctor in the room, and Mrs. Winchester leaves, and she tells the carpenter dude to lock them in. Are you locking them in with the spirit? What the fuck? Why would you do that? Because she had 13 hooks on the thing in the closet thing. So essentially, she like pretty much was fucking them over. Like, oh, you stay in this room with the spirit, it'll be okay. So the evil spirit is a Confederate soldier who killed people, and his brothers were killed. And that's supposed to be our big, like, ooh, and he was the butler the whole time. And she's like, oh, he's here now. I'm like, he's been there since the beginning of the movie. He's been there. What the fuck?
Technically, to follow the same logic, all the people that he killed in the showroom should have been potentially ghosts as well.
Exactly. More plot holes. Okay, so then earthquake happens. Dude from Insidious gets thrown out of the room, down the stairs, gets his face crushed. Then next one, doctor guy gets thrown out of the room, down the stairs. Where did that guy go? And why is there no pile of rubble there? Didn't he go down the same set of steps? It looked like it. He went out the door and down the hall. Like out and then right.
Yeah.
It looked like the same exact direction to me. I could be wrong on this one. But I'm like, where did that dude go? And why isn't he landing on a pile of rubble? That didn't make any sense to me. There was a lot of continuity issues that I saw. Put on my little film nerd cap when I went to school for film editing. People weren't turned the right way in shots. Like if somebody was facing one way, they'd be facing forward, and then for the next shot, it wasn't matching up. The hole in the floor he crawled up was like a thin 2-board hole. When he crawled up through it, it was like this big square hole. So just stuff like that. There was not very good continuity in this movie. To your point, I said, of course his bullet can kill the ghost. But why? What? Why? Why? And apparently she could just command the spirits to go back to their room.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go back to your room, you spirits. Are you like the Lord and Commander's ghosts now? How does that... how does that work? And that's all for my notes. It's just a lot of what, why, and how. Because this movie did a poor job of telling its story. Anything else you'd like to add? You want to go to final thoughts?
Final thoughts is fine.
Let's go to final thoughts. So while not as bad as I had heard, this is not a good movie. And I would not recommend it to anyone. It is one note, and that note is boring. And, okay, it's 2 notes. The first note is boring, the second note is jump scare. That's all it has going for it. I'm still waiting for the Spirit Brothers to make something that's actually proficient and impressive. There's too many plot holes. They didn't do a good job of explaining anything, really. And what they tried to explain and make meaningful fell flat because it was one note. You could spend an hour and 40 minutes watching something way better.
Totally. Completely agree with all that. I mean, as I said, jump scares unearned, your redemption arcs unearned.
Nope.
Yeah, your happy ending unearned.
Oh, yeah. And then the cheap, maybe a sequel ending. Again, it felt like a Blumhouse tacked on bullshit ending. So, yeah. All right, well, that takes care of final thoughts. But before we go, as it pertains to Winchester, what did we learn?
I learned that Stephen King did it better.
Nice. I learned that, you know what? Just because a pile of shit doesn't smell as bad as people said it does not mean it's not a pile of shit. Case closed. Well, that wraps up day 7. Thank you for listening. Tell us what you thought of the movie in the comments below. Did you find it to be as mediocre overall as we did? If not, please tell us why. And if so, what was your least favorite scene? If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends or cool people who might dig the Vizcast. And please subscribe to the channel, including hitting that notification bell to stay up to date on the newest content. Speaking of, for day 8, we will be watching the movie Summer of '84. This is a TJ pick, and I know nothing about it other than the title. So this will be interesting because I don't know. So until tomorrow, once again, my name is Philip.
And I'm TJ.
And we will return then to talk about Summer of '84. Goodbye.
Bye.